McLaren Field with the added spice of old friends becoming the foes. Well, former Headingley favourite Les Dill dons the Bramley colours in this first round Yorkshire Cup clash. Leeds, fresh from their triumph at Post Office Road last Sunday, will start as clear favourites against the Villagers, who have never won the Yorkshire Cup. Whereas in the 70s, Leeds virtually made the County Cup their own property, winning it 5 times, the last triumph being in 1980-81 season. Well, it's a perfect evening for rugby with hardly any wind and a good surface, which should make for a fast and open game, despite the different status of these teams. Well, let's look at the lineups, and let's start with Bramley first. And their side will be Wayne Race, Malcolm Agar, Ronnie Sharp, Les Dill and Gary Hobbs. The halves, Peter Lister and Steve Carroll. And Steve Carroll having his testimonial season. Then at number 8, it's Adrian Crawford. Number 9, Gary Brentley, former Bradford Northern player. Number 10, Steve Durham. Number 11, Steve Edmondson. And number 12, a late change, Barry Holden replaces Carl Green, who's injured. Number 13, Andy Gascoigne. The substitutes, Richard Birch and Graham Idle. And for Leeds, let's go across to the Leeds side now, and let's have a look at their side. And it's virtually the same as played on Sunday. It's Gary Spencer, Vincent Fawcett, David Stevenson, Carl Gibson, John Basnett, Gary Schofield, a late change, Ray Ashton dropping out and Mark Wilson coming in. Then it's Lee Crooks at number 8, Colin Maskell at 9, Gary Price at 10, Roy Powell, who had such an excellent game on Sunday, at number 11, Paul Medley at 12, and David Hurren loose forward. And the substitutes tonight, John Lyons and John Fairbank, who had quite a good game on Sunday, taking a lot of the weight in the pack. The referee tonight is Mr. Tennant. So say an excellent evening. The sun has now gone down, so there's no sun in the eyes of the fullbacks when they're catching the ball. Very, very little wind, and there's an excellent surface. Looking forward to an excellent and very competitive Yorkshire Cup first round clash. It'll be Gary Schofield to take the kick for Leeds. It's Bramley in the black and gold against Leeds in their traditional blue and gold. We're ready to go. Mr. Tennant blows his whistle and we're away. Once again, Roy Powell, as he did on Sunday, makes the tackle. For those of you not familiar with the new rules, the man at the play the ball cannot play it to himself if there's a man in front of him, the tackle. He must play the ball backwards. If there's no man there, then he can play the ball. And then the first penalty to Bramley. And that's Steve Durham going down in a massive bodies. Lee Crooks the man there. Number 8, Adrian Crawford, and he's lost it. Roy Powell doing a little bit of juggling. Schofield brought down there. Lee Crooks. Gary Price brought down, excellent try he scored on Sunday. Also made one of the other tries, and when he came on, certainly put a lot of life into the Leeds attack. And Schofield there with a lovely 30-yard touch finder. Puts the Villagers, as they're known, right back on their own line. Schofield and Powell, instigators of a lot of Leeds play against Featherstone in that first league match last Sunday. Price, but he's well held. Smooth, and on the burst there is Paul Medley. Leeds putting the early pressure on Bramley. So far, Bramley standing up well in the tackle. That's a lovely long ball, but a good long ball out there to Carl Gibson, but he can't find a way through, and that's a little grubber kick by Stevenson, but Wayne Race, former Bradford Northern fullback, just manages to wriggle his way out of the dead ball area. And another former Bradford man, Bramley, but he's powered to the ground there. As Leeds forwards holding them back, right back on their own line, and Bramley are in desperate trouble. A superb tackle, and the crowd, I think, felt that for him there. Gary Spencer picks that one up. Peter Lister on the tackle. That's Vince Fawcett. Well, virtually everybody on the Leeds side now has had a touch of the ball. And Maskell there, and it looked like there was a punch coming in over the top, but Maskell managed to duck that one. The game continues. Once again, Leeds coming forward. Oh, nice pass in. Oh, and he came inside there, did Carl Gibson. He another man on his outside, John Basnett, but that ball didn't get to him. And another grubber kick, but beautifully picked up there. Well picked up by Adrian Crawford. And so Leeds continuing as they did in the first league game against Featherstone, on the attack. That last 20 minutes against Featherstone, when they created 4 tries, really showed their power, and again they're doing that this evening so far. That's a long kick. This Leeds back on the halfway line. Excellent crowd here tonight, and the game was held up for 5 minutes whilst we allowed the stewards allowed the crowd in. There was a lot of people queuing outside, and the big contingent from Headingley. Yeah, that's Bramley burrowing his way forward, and again, and there is an instance of the new ruling. The man in front of him not allowed to do that, played the ball to himself, and referee Tennant right on the spot and penalising him for that. Schofield is at the heart of everything for Leeds, and was last Sunday. Finding touch. Price. Maskell to play the ball. And there's Roy Powell once again driving forward. Takes 4 Bramley men to bring him down, but still wriggling around on the floor. Mark Wilson throwing it along the line. Crooks, Schofield. But unfortunately, poor Medley drops that one, and Leeds just can't make their pressure tell at the moment. Crunching tackle coming in there from Paul Medley on Peter Lister. The linesman was waving his flag. Lieutenant having a word with him. I think Mr. Tennant can't really decide which of the Leeds players. In fact, he's having a word with Les Dill for some reason, and he's saying that Dill elbowed somebody, so it wasn't the Leeds tackle at all. And Les Dill, former Headingley favourite, has certainly been putting the elbow in at one of his just to remind them that he's there, but he's cost his side 10 yards, and Leeds are back in the 25 where they've been in camp for most of the game. Price held up in the tackle. So Ray Ashton not playing tonight, Mark Wilson in for him. He's got the ball now. Powell again, and the old saying, you can't run without your legs. Schofield, and he looked to be obstructed there. It was the number 13 for Bramley, Andy Gascoigne. As Schofield put that little grubber kick through, there was Andy Gascoigne standing in front of him, and a penalty to Leeds. Only about 20 yards out, just to the left of the post. There's no wind tonight, so should be a fair formality for David Stevenson. Kicks one excellent touch-finding goal on Sunday from 25 yards out, right out on the touchline, and that was a beautiful kick that he put over against Featherstone. This time, much simpler chance. Just 9 minutes of the game gone, and Stevenson puts that straight between the posts. So it's 9 minutes gone, and it's Bramley 0, Leeds 2.
Kicked by David Stevenson.
Oh, nicely taken there by Gary Spencer. Shakes off one tackle, but can't get any further. It's Lee Crooks. Price once again in the action. Haskell to play the ball. Wayne Race is getting this. It's come from Bradford Northern to Bramley. Couldn't get regular first team football at Bradford. Played mostly on the wing there, but Bramley have converted him to a fullback. Formerly with Keighley as well. Bramley now trying to work their way out of the 25. So they've been encamped in their own 25, mainly because of Leeds' pressure with the ball, but this time Bramley have it. Steve Durham there, but he's not gone very far. As Leeds again, once again, pen Bramley back in their own half. Wayne Race, and he's lost that in the tackle. Took his eye off the ball at the last minute. And so we have the first scrum of the game. It's Mark Wilson to put it in, and of course the opposing scrum half has to retire behind the scrum. Long, dangerous pass, but fortunately it has gone to John Basnett, and John Basnett buried under a sea of Bramley bodies. Carl Gibson had some splendid runs against Featherstone, hoping to emulate that again tonight. David Heron. Oh, well taken there by Gary Spencer, getting his pass out in the tackle, which was a feature of a lot of the Leeds play on Sunday. And finally that ball's gone to ground. No advantage accruing to either side. And finally the referee has decided on the scrum down. Steve Carroll to put this one in. He's in his testimonial season. And that one coming out on the Bramley side, so it's one scrum apiece at the moment. Neither are one against the head, both on their own put-in. As Barry Holden tries to break away. Slightly high tackle coming in there, but the referee right on the spot. All head tackles, of course, this season are banned. Should be no interpretation of that, of course. Anything round the head, any loose arm left out, should be penalised straight away by the referees. And the game we saw on Sunday against Featherstone, certainly anything that was above the shoulder was immediately penalised. Long ball out by Stevenson. Carl Gibson out there to Barry Spencer. And John Basnett is in at the corner, but I think it's been given as a forward pass. It looked strangely forward. There was a lot of space on that far side, and it's been given forward, so we've got a scrum down. Gary Spencer putting that pass out to John Basnett, but forward, unfortunately, and that would have been the first score, no more than Leeds deserved, because they've certainly been well encamped in the Bramley half. We're now into the 14th minute, so some 26 remaining of this half. And we've yet to see an attack mounted by Bramley, who are playing, I think you could say, just slightly up the slope. The slope on this ground, and quite a hollow as you stand behind the posts at the end Leeds are defending, and look on the ground just around about the 25 in the centre of the pitch. There's quite a distinct hollow there, which might make the handling difficult and the catching of the ball, especially if it's bouncing along this very lush turf here. Ideal for rugby, not too finely cut. This is the first time that Bramley have been in the Leeds half with the ball in their own possession. That's big Adrian Crawford there. Try and give you some of the Bramley players as we manage to see the shirts. Barry Holden, he's a late replacement for Carl Green. Around move, but good strong tackle coming in from Roy Powell, who had so many tackles. His tackle count, in fact, I virtually lost count of the tackles that he made on Sunday. And that ball going dead. Bramley scored 50 points against Rochdale in a pre-season game. Lost against Sheffield Eagles on Sunday. But, their coach, Tony Fisher, must be quite pleased with the way that they've started in the pre-season games. As I say, they did lose against Sheffield, but they've shown more promise than they did at the end of last season. That's Lee Crooks with an absolute bomb there. Wayne Race going for it, but he's put it forward. And Gary Schofield throws it wide. Vince Fawcett's got a super try on Sunday. And at last the crowd get behind Leeds. Mark Wilson there, nearly getting through. Long pass, beautifully taken on that far side, slips it inside. Carl Gibson, it's like David Stevenson, and he's over. And it's taken 16.5 minutes for that to come, but no more than Leeds deserved. They finally put their superiority on the score sheet with a try after 16.5 minutes. And David Stevenson adds a try to his goal. And so Leeds on the score sheet with a try to add to that David Stevenson goal. And he will now try from some 10 yards in on the 25-yard line to add to that try and be the only point scorer so far for Leeds. Perfect conditions for goal kicking. The flags in both corners, very, very still. No sun to come into his eyes, as there was a little earlier on, just about 10 minutes before kick-off. The sun was quite low and would have been shining over the houses there just behind the goals into Stevenson, but at the moment there's no sun at all. Just a fine summer's evening. And that pulls that just to the left of the post. And so we've got 17 and a half minutes gone, and it's Leeds 6, Bramley 0.
Bramley 0.
And that ball has gone straight into touch from the kickoff, so it will be a penalty to Leeds. Mr. Tennant, distinguishable of course by his red jersey. Couldn't wear black tonight because of the colours of the Bramley side, like a pack of wasps as they swarm all over Roy Powell. Beautiful break by Maskell, but just at the last minute there's a good tackle coming in from Adrian Crawford as Leeds are once more push forward. Roy Powell, Lee Crooks back to somewhere like his old self, slipping that beautiful reverse pass out there. It's again. And this time Crooks is over. They couldn't stop him. His power took him through. And once again, it was Gary Schofield who was the instigator of that move, slipping the pass out to Crooks, who crashed over despite the attention of those two defenders. So halfway through this first half, and Leeds score 2 tries in the space of 2 minutes. Through Davy Stevenson and Lee Crooks. And it's beginning to look as though Leeds' first division power, which accounted in that last 20 minutes against Featherstone, certainly looks to be going to count for Bramley, unless Bramley are saving themselves for the second half, because they've certainly been up against it. They've only once been into the Leeds half, when they managed to gain about 10-15 yards, but then lost the ball. And David Stevenson with this kick, this time from the right hand side, pops it straight between, no problems at all. And with 21 minutes gone, it's Bramley 0, Leeds 12. So far it's been all Leeds, and Bramley have got a lot to do in this remaining 60 minutes if they're to progress through this first round of the Yorkshire Cup. Paul Medley right down in front of us here, crashing through one tackle, but Price loses the ball, and it's Steve Durham. There's Steve Edmondson along the full front row there nearly. Barry Holden. Once again, big Adrian Crawford there, pushing forward. Gary Brentley, as he did for Bradford Northern so many times, burrowing his way forward. Couldn't get regular first-team football, as Wayne Race couldn't last season at Bradford. Has decided to come to Bramley, where at least he's going to get that thing. And he was quite a favourite with the fans at Bradford for his all-action style. Chips it forward, but neatly taken there. And a trip coming in from the number 6, Peter Lister. That was on Vince Fawcett. No reason for that, it was a bit late. And once again, Mr. Tennant right on the spot. Couldn't really fail to mistake that trip. And a penalty to Leeds. 22 minutes of the game gone. That ball high onto the top of the stand roof. You could hear it bouncing above us. And Bramley certainly short of ideas when they're going forward. Leeds full of imagination and inventive running off the ball, orchestrated by number 6 Gary Schofield. Roy Powell, he won't let that ball die, certainly gets it back. But for once Leeds pen back in their own half. Lee Crooks keeping it alive. Schofield along the line. Price thrown out to get in there. Carl Gibson dummies one man, but thing with 5th tackle. Schofield chips it forward into the gap. Wayne Race coming for it. Will he get it this time? Yes, he does. But, a bit of indecision in the Bramley side when they're going for these chip throughs. Certainly Featherstone, who of course runners up in the Stones Bitter 2nd Division. But that's a great move for number 10, and it's going to be a race for this, but Vince Fawcett gets there in place in front of Peter Lister. But an excellent run there by the number 10, Steve Juddam. He put Gary Lister through. Sorry, Peter Lister through, but he couldn't get to it. Good save by Vince Fawcett. So at last some fire from Bramley. But unfortunately for them, it's not enough to upset Leeds. Oh, beautiful reverse pass. It's a great ball through. Oh, and Paul Medley just slipping at the last moment, but Leeds showing all the 1st Division class, and Fawcett's going to be in at the corner. Yes, he is. The crowd rise there, and Fawcett's gone in at the corner. What a wonderful move by Lee Crooks and Gary Schofield. Schofield taking that pass from Lee Crooks, that reverse pass one-handed, and going away, putting Paul Medley through. Paul Medley was stopped, but there again was Schofield on the burst, on the backup, putting there Vince Fawcett in. Fawcett scoring a try, as he did on Sunday, barging in at the corner. And Leeds take a 16 points to 0 lead after 25 minutes. David Stevenson, way out on the right-hand side. You may be having difficulty seeing this on the video because the post that supports the stand roof is right in front of our camera position. But I've got a good view of it from here. And he's hooked it way wide. And so, 26 minutes of the game gone. Bramley 0, Leeds 16. And Leeds, Fawcett racing right across pitch, but finally succumbs to the 2 tacklers there coming in from Bramley. That was Les Dill and Ronnie Sharp. Roy Powell trying to keep that ball afloat, but fails on this occasion. Basnett. Oh, beautiful break by David Hurren. Hurren, Medley, Price. Oh, superb try. Backing up all the way. And there they were. First it was Paul Medley. And David Hurren and Gary Price. Marvellous try by the forwards, backing up all the way, and just far too much pace for the Bramley side.
try.
Gary Price scoring a try as he did again last Sunday. He also made a good try for Gary Schofield. And he's got a lot of pace. He'll be a man to watch this season. There they were, numbers 10, 12 and 13 combining well. Finally Gary Price going over. Leeds' fourth try coming in the 27th minute. And David Stevenson makes no mistake, he kicks his third goal. And the score now, Bramley 0, Leeds 22.
Converting Gary Price to try.
It's a little aside here that you're getting the score lines just before the Tannoy system manages to put theirs out. Well, the villagers be stung into action here because certainly the first division power, pace and ball handling skills of Leeds have accounted for them so far. Don't appear to have many ideas. Nearest they've come is when raced through with the ball by Peter Lister off of a Steve Durham kick through, but really that's the nearest they've been, and that wasn't far near enough to those posts. Leeds sucking the defence in and then putting the ball out to their pacey backs. There's one of them, Carl Gibson. Certainly we saw on Sunday that second division side, or well, now a first division side, Featherstone, could certainly match Leeds, but big difference between them and Bramley, because Bramley certainly don't have the skill in their middle backs that Featherstone did on Sunday. Les Dill there. Didn't know what to do with it. Durham didn't either, threw it just wildly back. As I said in the opening remarks, Leeds certainly started this game favourites and proving the point with 22 points to 0 lead as we come into the last 10 minutes of this first half. Scrum down, very few scrums in this game. Leeds at the moment, shading them. As Mark Wilson, he's had a fairly quiet game so far, puts that one in. No problems for him, comes out on the lead side, and Gary Schofield once again. It's the new law at the scrum has certainly opened the game up, with the non-feeding scrum half having to retire and all players at 5 yards from the ball. Quite often last season we had players with nowhere to go even when they received the ball from the scrum. This time hoping to open the game up. And once again those forwards, but this time it's gone loose. Number 7 there, Steve Carroll. Gets the ball out to Les Dill, but he's well grounded by Fawcett. Gary Hobbs, nowhere to go. Steve Carroll there again. It's very little ideas coming from Bramley, Brentley, Crawford. So back to Brentley, nicely flicked up. Brentley inside, and the first time Andy Gascoigne there, 10 yards out, and a penalty for, looks like for holding down. And Bramley with 6 tackles now to go. Crawford takes 3 men with him. And somehow Roy Powell got that ball, stole it in the tackle. Well, what a disaster for Bramley. Their first real chance of the game, and Roy Powell steals the ball and steals the show from them. Makes 10-15 yards. Crooks, Stevenson, Schofield. Crooks again, looking for the high kick. Underneath it is Gary Hobbs, takes it quite well. Pushes one man off, pushes two men off, but Wayne Race. Bramley to play the ball yet again. And it's that man Andy Gascoigne who's been on the end of some of the passes that have managed to get Bramley moving. But, keeping the ball moving at last, Bramley, and trying to overcome this 22-point deficit with 8 minutes of the first half remaining. And Crawford managing to let that ball slip out of his hands. A bit of dew from the turf as the evening draws close. And that one won against the head there by Bramley. First scrum against the first strike against the head, and Bramley goes again. Trying there, he was just looking to feed that ball out, but Crawford, this man, manages to hold on to the ball. First he lost it to Roy Powell, then he dropped it, this time keeping it going. Carroll, oh, and what a superb tackle coming in there from David Hurren. It wasn't David Hurren, giving the tackle there to the wrong man. It was Paul Medley. And finally that ball adjudged to have gone forward, or a knock on, and the referee giving a scrum down. Crunching tackle coming in there from Paul Medley. One of the features last Sunday was the superb tackling of the Leeds outfit, albeit against a much stronger side in Featherstone, but even tonight some of the tackling is jaw-crunching, jaw-breaking tackling. Les Dill there was on the tackle. Certainly not, there's only a shadow of his former self. Is Les Dill not had any running chances, and he's obviously here for experience, put some experience into this Bramley side. And they really seem to need it at the moment. They've got quite a young side Tony Fisher's put together, and they'll be looking to put this deep into Leeds territory. Come more into the game in this last 5 or 6 minutes, Bramley, but just lacking that killer touch and that final yard of pace as Durham goes in there. Once again, the Leeds forwards envelop the Bramley front men. And pound for pound, Leeds certainly running the stronger. Once again, a Bramley forward is driven back. Good strong tackling, taking the legs. At half-time, Tony Fisher is going to have to get this front five of his up for this game, because everything that happens, they just cannot find a way through this Leeds pack, which are dominating the game. Gary Schofield, I think, takes quite a hammering in that tackle. Oh, and that's one round the head as Carl Gibson goes down. Lee Crooks was going to kick there, but he leaves it to David Stevenson. Wayne Race fields that one very well. Steve Carroll. No way through there for Barry Holden. He was, I say, a late replacement for Carl Green, who's injured. Oh, nice slip ball. And nobody in support. There is now. Is that man Gascoigne for the number 3 there, making that break, Ronnie Sharp. Peter Lister can't make any ground. Steve Carroll gives it to Crawford, but Crawford doesn't look to run his weight. Certainly not powering on the burst, and fairly easy target for these Leeds. That's a good kick through. Beautiful kick through by Lister. Oh, and saved at the death there. Right on the line. And the man saving that looked like a certain try for Steve Carroll was Gary Spencer. He's okay, he's a bit winded and drop out from this. So the first real chance there, well made by Peter Lister's lovely little kick through, collected it. Finally, the ball going dead from Gary Spencer. And since Leeds scored that 4th try of theirs, we've had plenty of push and huff from Bramley, and just that one chance just minutes ago. Just 1 minute to the hooter. As Bramley now begin to exert their own little bit of pressure. Lovely play by Peter Lister, but I'm afraid that ball has gone down in that tackle. And Lister now beginning to find his feet and beginning to play the runaround balls quite a lot with Gary Brentley and Steve Durham. That one fed into his own feet. A penalty to Bramley. And can Bramley put their names on the score sheet just before half-time? Crawford puts it out there, number 11, Steve Edmondson, not been in the game much. Edmondson, and Bramley right on the line. Roy Powell once again making the tackle. Crawford trying to use his weight, but once again Powell, there goes a hooter. The half-time score of Bramley 0, Leeds 22. And David... Oh, Bramley make their way out onto the pitch, looking a little dispirited after that first half performance. They're 22 points to 0 down. One or two signs towards the end of the first half that they were going to get back into it. Certainly Peter Lister was prompting there and had one good chance, but the forwards not running their weight. We've had a little discussion at half-time and feel that perhaps, although the teams were listed and given out as Adrian Crawford at 8 and Steve Durham at 10, they're actually the opposite way round, and that Steve Durham is number 8 and Adrian Crawford is number 10. So we'll see how we go. Hasn't spoilt your enjoyment of the first half. Second half due to go any second now. 40 minutes for Bramley to get back into this game, but I have the feeling that Leeds' power is just going to be far, far too much. Spencer breaks to the 25. There's no doubt about it that the First Division pace certainly begins to tell against most second division sides. Crooks with a high one into the floodlights. Wayne Race underneath it, but takes it well. Had a shaky start catching the ball, but certainly has fielded the last 3 or 4 high kicks with great aplomb. When you see the Australian football, the way that they run onto the ball and the powerhouse forwards, there's a big gulf between them and sides like Bramley. But there's no saying that Bramley are not enthusiastic. They're pushing forward at every opportunity. 5th tackle. That one's going back. And the number 2 there, Malcolm Agar, we've seen very little of, but well taken by Gary Spencer. Very little of Malcolm Agar. But that was a high kick into the lights. And Gary Spencer, like his opposite number, Wayne Race, early on fielding a good high kick. Once again, Leeds come forward through Roy Powell. Hasn't been in the game as much towards the end of the first half. Certainly was involved early on, and on Sunday against Featherstone, he was my vote for man of the match after Gary Schofield. You couldn't beat Gary Schofield's play, handing 5 of the 6 tries. But it was the tackle count of Roy Powell on Sunday which certainly did the damage against Featherstone, and every time he had the chance he slipped the ball in the tackle, very rarely died with it. And maybe that's part of him going down to Australia with the test side, where the ball has to be slipped out in the tackle, and he was one of the plus factors in Great Britain's tour of Australia and New Zealand. Once again, Leeds keep that ball fluent, as Bramley had driven back, where they spent most of the game back in their own half. Nice big crowd here, but unfortunately, because it's a fairly one-sided game at the moment, there's very little to make the crowd enthusiastic. They've been quiet by comparison to other games that you'd probably see, as Leeds keep that ball flowing. Right winger Fawcett throwing that ball back. And I think the Bramley supporters are a little disappointed with their side's inability to make things pay, but that's an excellent catch by Steve Carroll. Good move. Trying hard there to break the Leeds stranglehold. So number 12, Barry Holdham. And the danger man for Bramley, Peter Lister. But unfortunately they're making very little ground. And again it's going to be a kick by Carroll, but that's a good kick, fully 40 yards, found touch about 10 yards inside the Leeds 25. It's an excellent kick. Steve Carroll in his testimonial season, and he got a very good ovation when he came out on the pitch and it was announced. The Bramley faithful respect him. And Brentley nearly won that one, but Leeds come away with it. But he's kicked into space, and an excellent take with his back to his own posts. Good take there. It's the number 5, Gary Hobbs. And Les Dill there finding his opposite number, Carl Gibson. Too much to handle. And there's a man with nowhere to go, Malcolm Agar, running straight into 3 Leeds defenders. As Brentley tries to go, but Lee Crooks, he drags his shirt from his back. Carroll slipping that one out. Oh, lovely ball. And will Bramley score? They have. An excellent try by Ronnie Sharp. Very good play. They kept that ball moving. And the number 10, who, as I said in the interval, is actually Adrian Crawford, not Steve Durham. He's had an excellent little game, slipping that ball out.
Number 3, Ronnie Sharp.
And Ronnie Sharp finding the gap and at last putting Bramley on the score sheet, and that will keep their fans' hearts a little bit higher. So that try coming after 5.5 minutes of the second half, and certainly putting a lot of heart into Bramley, who have competed quite well after Leeds had gone 22 points to 0 up after 30 minutes through Gary Price, but they've certainly fought back quite well, and an excellent try there by Ronnie Sharp. Hard to estimate the crowd here, but the stand certainly had been sold out. Very few tickets left downstairs as we came in. A good crowd around the outside barriers as well, and on the far side in the standing accommodation. I would say probably 3,000 people here tonight, mainly from Leeds, obviously swell any attendance when they come here. And this kick from quite a way out, it's up, and it's just pulled to the right of the post. So Bramley are on the score sheet. Try there from their number 3, Ronnie Sharp, and it's Bramley 4, Leeds 22. So we're going to have a fight back as that ball goes straight into touch. Lee Crooks making a bit of a hash of that. And are they going to have a kick at goal? No. Oh, and another great break. Slips it inside. Brentley keeping it moving. Oh, excellent play. This number 10. This is a big number 10, Adrian Crawford, and there's been a man held down in the tackle, and it's going to be a penalty right under the post. And I think that Bramley have decided that they're going to kick for goal. So another excellent break by Adrian Crawford. I'm hoping we've got this right, because certainly, although the teams had been announced at the start and in the programme as well, we feel that they've got them the wrong way around. But the number 10 for Bramley is certainly having a barnstorming game. He was at the heart of everything in the first half. He's been at the heart of certainly everything so far. As number 2, Malcolm Agar pops that one over, and we've got a fight back on our hands. Leeds have been stung by Bramley, and it's Bramley 6, Leeds 22. So will Leeds step up a gear now? Last, we've got some atmosphere in this ground as the Bramley fans begin to cheer their side on. 9 minutes of the second half gone. Just 31 remaining. Bramley are certainly back in this game, only 16 points of deficit. As once again, they come forward with Brentley. The forwards now beginning to run with a little bit more fire. On this side. But he's going nowhere. And that's Peter Lister trying to work his way round the flanks. As Agar kicks deep, that ball spinning away. And Gary Spencer will get it, turns on it, picks it up, and manages to gain a good 20 yards. Somebody has lost the boot. It's Gary Spencer down in front of us. And he still hasn't got it on. He's now managed to retain his boot, and we've got a scrum down as Bramley take that one. And a lovely run there by Wayne Race, wriggling his way from that tackle as Les Dill goes forward, trying to lend some of his craft and experience to this young Bramley side. The number 11, Steve Edmondson, he can't get anywhere. And there goes Lister. He's having to do the work of the forwards though, as number 8 to the back of him, and that's a high bomb. It's in the corner. And finally, the referee has given Leeds have got the ball. It's very difficult to see from this position here. We're right in the far corner, but that high bomb there finally going to Leeds.
Go on.
Number 10, Adrian Crawford, just down on this side. He's just having his some attention from the physio. He's got a blow in the nose, and Bramley will be hoping that he's back on quickly, because Bentley's stolen that one. And Crawford's back in the action, but not with the ball just at this moment, as Bramley keep the ball going through Carroll. Carroll, there it goes. That looked like Bentley, wriggling his way clear. He's very, very powerful from those play the balls just in the 25. He's a powerhouse little hooker. As Carroll nips through. He's got men with him, but he's going on his own. Oh, and he's stopped, and really he should have released that ball. He certainly should have released that. He had Steve Durham racing up with him, failed to release it. And that was a disaster for Bramley, because had he released that ball, I'm sure they would have scored. But they've got the ball again. Twice in the space of just a minute, they pinch the ball in the tackle. And the pressure's on, and it's that number 10 again. So Adrian Crawford, he might have had a blow in the nose just a few minutes ago, but he's certainly taking on the Leeds forwards virtually single-handed. The only one of the Bramley forwards to have run his weight tonight. Carroll, but he's pinned by David Stevenson. From the play the ball, it's Gascoigne. But Leeds have it, and it's stolen by Lee Crooks. Mark Wilson gives it out to Vince Fawcett. Fawcett keeps it going. Roy Powell, he'll keep it going as well. Looking to turn in the tackle, but finally pulled over. It was Barry Holden managing to hold on to Roy Powell. Roy Powell looking more like Frank Bruno every day. Certainly the same, not the same height. Never seen him punch anybody, so I wouldn't know whether he strikes as hard as Bruno. Certainly Frank wouldn't be able to play that ball back in the tackle like Big Roy can. to see who that is down on the deck. Could be Les Dill, having looked around. Slow down, the physio bringing out the magic sponge. A bit of cold water will probably do the trick. On a nice summer's evening like tonight, though, they won't be really bothered about the magic sponge. It won't be that cool. Not like it could be some December or January evening when there's probably ice forming on the trainer's bucket. And it really looks like a possibly cramp. These breaks in the play have probably disturbed Lee's rhythm, because in this opening 15 minutes of the second half, there's been no doubt about it. It's Gary Bramley that's down. There's been no doubt about it that Bramley have certainly done very, very well to get back into this game, and Leeds are going to have to be on the mettle. But Bramley's looking in some discomfort here, and might not be long before we see a substitution. And physio's still on the pitch, but the referee decided to get the game underway, and gum shields galore flying out in that tackle. It's David Hurren throwing that one back. Powell out the far side. Oh, and it was Vince Fawcett who dropped that one with a line beckoning. As Bramley take that ball and move forward. And here he comes again, barnstorming. Number 10. It's Adrian Crawford. Thrown out by Durham. Wayne Race on the break, but well smothered there by Paul Medley. Oh, and another excellent tackle, but he's got up, and Gascoigne still going. Medley hit him once, but Gascoigne got the better of that exchange, and that's an excellent kick by Agar. Right into the corner. But Gary Spencer will pick it up and try and race clear. Beats one man, but can't get around Gascoigne. Bramley, of course, never won the Yorkshire Cup. Leeds, well, they've won it 5. They won it 4 times in the 70s, and then once again in 1980-81 when the final was played at Huddersfield. In fact, it was virtually their own property in the middle to late 70s, but here come Bramley and Brentley on the end of that pass from Peter Lister. As Bramley come forward, oh, Peter Lister's dropped that one, and Leeds have managed to smother it. I think that was John Basnick coming in off the left wing, who managed to get to it. Oh, excellent play by Bramley. As Peter Lister very nearly made it there. Gary Brentley powering his way through, but it's Roy Powell who takes Leeds another 4 or 5 yards away from danger. Oh, and an excellent break. Schofield, haven't seen much of him this half. Thrown inside. And Lee Crooks is going behind the post. A try for Leeds. Stevenson throwing that one out. Gary Spencer carrying it on. Inside to Carl Gibson. Finished up in the hands of Lee Crooks. And Lee Crooks made no mistake. End-to-end stuff. And crowd applauding that. Lee Crooks going over for his second try of the game. After 19 minutes of the second half, so 59 minutes of this game gone, 21 to go. And David Stevenson kicks his fourth goal of the evening. So only 20 minutes now for Bramley to pull this score back. It's Bramley 6, Leeds 28. And Fairbank is coming on. Lee Crooks is going off. And John Fairbank had an excellent game on Sunday against Featherstone, taking a lot of the weight of tackle. And he was the man who was given the ball when Leeds needed to run at the Featherstone side. And at last, John Basnett's had a bit of a run. Very quiet tonight. Oh, and the first touch that John Fairbank gets, and it slips from his grasp. And there's a break there, there's an overlap, but he couldn't get his pass out. And Les Dill against his old side, Leeds, couldn't get it away. And Bramley keeping the ball alive. Brentley, men coming in over the top, but Brentley's down on the deck, can't move. It's the big number 8 there, Steve Durham, goes in. Oh, nice long ball out, but Steve Edmondson losing that ball in the tackle, and another chance lost for Bramley. It's Bramley 6, Leeds 28. 18 minutes remaining. This Yorkshire Cup first round clash here at McLaren Field. Bramley with home advantage, but they can't make that tell against this fairly slick Leeds outfit. Went 22 points to 0 up in the first half. Bramley pulled those 6 points back. But then Leeds broke away again. An excellent try. And a knock on there as Roy Powell's little kick went through. And Steve Carroll just couldn't hold on to that. Only had one strike against the head tonight. It was when Brentley won one in the first half. Substitution for Bramley is Richard Birch. He's coming on for Barry Holden. As Leeds win that ball. Oh, Gibson sets Stevenson. Fawcett going for the corner. He's got his outstripped Carroll. He's going round, and Lesdale won't catch him. And an excellent try. Fawcett's second try of the night. His third in the last 2 games. Vince Fawcett, the beautiful try. 23 minutes into this second half. 63 minutes gone, and it's now Leeds 32, Bramley 6, with David Stevenson's conversion to come. Excellent running try. Leeds broke away from the scrum. Carl Gibson was there, out to Vince Fawcett, and Vince Fawcett did the rest, making no mistake.
On for Barry Holden. Richard Birch, number 12, Barry Holden.
So Leeds now once again stretching their legs, coming after letting Bramley back into the game with those 6 points from that Ronnie Sharp try, that Malcolm Agar penalty, but now tries by Lee Crooks after 59 minutes, and then just 3 minutes later, just a try by Vince Fawcett, and a beautiful conversion there by David Stevenson, his 5th kick of the night. That puts the score now, Bramley 6, Leeds 34, and very little time, just over 15 minutes remaining for Bramley to come back into this game. David Stevenson and Graham Idle coming on for Gary Brentley, who was injured earlier on in this half and hasn't recovered. So Graham Idle, another former Bradford Northern player, and of course started his career here at Bramley, and we've got a fight developing. The referee is right in amongst all that. Couldn't see quite what happened. Both judges are going to try and extricate him from the melee that's developed. Fortunately, both sets of players were trying to pull their respective colleagues off of one another. They weren't joining in, which sometimes happens. And the referee is having a word with both skippers, giving a penalty to Leeds. So it was obviously a Bramley fist or knee that went in on that tackle. But good to see that the fight didn't develop any further than the slight altercation on the floor. Long kick there by Gary Schofield, finds touch 10 yards inside their own half. Maskell at the play the ball. And Bramley caught napping offside. Little tired probably now. That man, number 10 it was, he's in the action all the time, and Adrian Crawford being Bramley's best player. Certainly if I was choosing the man of the match for Bramley, it would be him. Well, for Leeds, it's been a good team effort. Plenty of good team effort. No stars tonight. Gary Schofield certainly opened up well, but he's been quiet since. Roy Powell's had another good game, but the forwards have blended well together, tight-knit, and running off of one another at pace. And John Lyons there, and John Fairbank now, both on, as Leeds come forward once again. We had 70% of the play, Leeds. And what play that 30% that Bramley have had, they've done very little with it, apart from that short spell at the end of the second half and a little flurry just at the start, just 5 minutes in fact, at the start of this second half. And scrum down on the far side. Crowd on that side have seen one splendid try by Vince Fawcett after 62 minutes, and he went off of Carl Gibson's pass and raced fully 40 yards to score about 20 yards out. Nice little play by Steve Carroll. And the Leeds man holding the Bramley scrum half and testimonial year man down in that tackle. Slight anticlimax to this game, because a lot of people thought that Bramley would give Leeds a difficult time, but that's not to be, as Leeds raced into a 22-point lead after only 30 minutes. And since then, really, the game has been over as a spectacle. Leeds now 34 points to 6 in front, and really, with some 12 minutes remaining, it's going to be hard for Bramley to get their name into that second round draw. But still hope springs eternal. Flame still flickering for Bramley, but likely to be extinguished any time now. And that second round draw will be tomorrow, remembering that these two games tonight are first round games, not preliminary round games as they were in the past. And that's that was a neat little kick through the left wing there. Gary Hobbs nearly getting in on the act, and probably had a clear run to the corner, but here goes Roy Powell. The crowd, as soon as Roy Powell gets the ball, they roar with approval. Certainly a big favourite at Headingley. And that second round draw, though I think it would have already been taken by the time you see this video, but it's at and all the independent radio stations throughout Yorkshire at 8:35 on Thursday morning. And Leeds will be looking for, I would think, a plum home tie and try and win this Yorkshire Cup, which they haven't won for 6 years. Bramley still trying their best, but looking a little jaded, and Carl Gibson's picked that on. Oh, and it was Paul Medley who went into that tackle. I think the referee said that Paul Medley had knocked it forward. Paul Medley doesn't seem too unhappy about that decision, and so we've got to scrum down just on halfway. And that ball actually was hooked by John Fairbank, and Leeds have 4 against 1. It's Scotty Spencer out there, and Fawcett gets his hat-trick, and he's giving it forward. Well, what a disaster. What a disaster for Leeds. 4 against 1 situation. They drew the men, and the pass, well, it lures forward. Vince Fawcett thought he'd had his hat-trick, but I'm afraid that for the second time in this game, Leeds have made the error of passing forward when there's a massive overlap on the right-hand side. And Bramley will be fortunate there not to have gone 38 points to 6 down. They still at 34 points to 6 as that scrum collapses and the ball is out on the Leeds side. Maybe Vince Fawcett might not be too discouraged at having missed his hat-trick, because usually when you score a hat-trick, you finish up buying all your mates a drink in the bar afterwards. So and he'll be disappointed, because he certainly runs with a lot of strength and power on that side. And once again, Leeds come forward, and Fawcett may get another chance. But he doesn't have to, because over there on that far side, very difficult to see, but I think it is one of the Leeds forwards, and it's number 12, Paul Medley. He's got his socks rolled down over his ankles. Paul Medley, who was signed from Leeds from Farsley Oval Ball Juniors, and he scored there to put it 38 points to 6, and now the contingents of Bramley fans certainly beginning to leave the ground, and a lot of Leeds fans leaving as well, because we've got only 7 minutes remaining. There's been a little injury to Gary Brentley, but that'll add maybe a couple of minutes on. And David Stevenson now attempting his 6th goal of the evening. He's kicked very, very well. He missed 1. And of course it isn't David Stevenson, as David Stevenson went off. It's Colin Maskell who is going to attempt this. There was so much activity on the substitutes bench a little earlier that I missed David Stevenson going off, so it gives Gary Maskell a chance to have a go from just outside the 25. It's a good kick, but it's just faded to the left of the post. And so with just 7 minutes remaining, it's Bramley 6, Leeds 38.
I'd like to thank you all for attending this evening's game, and remind you that our next home game
that ball going to ground. Well, can Bramley put themselves back on the score sheet? They haven't done so now since Malcolm Agar kicked that penalty in the 49th minute. Since then, Leeds have scored 3 tries to add to the 4 that they scored in the first half. 7 tries in all, 6 last Sunday, 13 tries in 2 games, and they're certainly putting away sides that they ought to do, of course. Featherstone were a second division side last year, and I see him, and here he comes, the number 10. Can he crown it with a try? He does. Well, that was only just reward for the number 10, Adrian Crawford. What an excellent try. He deserved that. He's been certainly the star of the Bramley show, and I'm sure that there'll be 1 or 2 first division scouts watching him tonight.
Number 10, Steve Durham.
And it's not Adrian Crawford because they've kept the shirts on. It's in fact Steve Durham. They've finally now got the scores through. Even the announcer here has got it wrong. We were right at half-time to switch them round. It's Adrian Crawford who's got that try. We were right at half-time. They had swapped over. And so, what an excellent try, and fully deserved. And Malcolm Agar puts another 2 points to that. So we're now Bramley 12, Leeds 38. But it's all over bar the shouting as we get 36 minutes of the game gone.
Gary Price.
And Gary Price has been made the Yorkshire Cup John Smith's man of the match. And he probably shaded it from 1 or 2 of his colleagues in the pack. So Gary Price winning the man of the match award. But he must have been hard pushed in this game by the number 10, Adrian Crawford, for Bramley. Oh, and that's double handling, but it was Gary Schofield who got a hand to that, and so we continue. Just 3 minutes remaining, and there he goes again, Adrian Crawford. Kick by Malcolm Agar, but it's fielded very well there by John Lyons. He gets it out. Gary Schofield, Fawcett still looking for that hat-trick. And Leeds have gone from the same point right across the pitch and back again. But it's 38 points to 12 in their favour, so I don't think they'll be too worried. As the man of the match, Gary Price goes forward. Taken by number 15, Graham Idle, former Bradford Northern player, and started, as I say, his career here. Once again, Roy Powell on the break, looking for support, but he didn't find it that time. But David Hurren, and this time, and in fact the only time in the game that Roy Powell has made a mistake. Gary Schofield just looking a little tired. He's not been at his most influential this afternoon in this second half. Oh, and Wayne Race looked to be tackled there as that pass came in. And the referee, right on the spot, doesn't give it. And Leeds looking for a grandstand finish to try and put 40 points on the board this evening. It's again, and this time Gary Schofield trying to take the tackle, throws it back, and Bramley have got the ball. Little ragged the game now as we approach the last minute. Little bit of injury time when Gary Brentley was injured and has finally gone off. That man again, Crawford, but nobody there to back him up. And the big difference, of course, between these two sides tonight. Oh, and that's a great break. Tremendous break. He's got nobody with him, though. Absolutely superb. As somebody to my left just said, where was the wingman? Here he is now. It's Malcolm Agar. Superb 60-yard break. Les Dill, but he's gone nowhere, and really Les Dill's contribution to this game has not been significant as far as Bramley are concerned. He's there to bring along these youngsters and to provide some craft, but unfortunately that's not helped, and Leeds begin to break again. Fawcett looking hungry on that far side, but not getting the ball, not getting a chance to have a run. 2 tries tonight. Been played in excellent spirit this game, apart from one little altercation we had just midway through the second half. But other than that, game being played extremely fair on both sides, both sets of forwards playing it hard. And some good running rugby. And there we go. It's the number 7, it's Steve Carroll. He's going to crown his first testimonial game with a try, an interception there as Leeds began to try and throw the ball around right in the last minute. In fact, and so Steve Carroll puts Bramley now 16 points, and actually scoring that try in stoppage time, and 41 minutes of this second half gone. And the hooter obviously ready to go at any time now. Malcolm Agar, I think it is, it's going to be taking this, and he's got a very difficult kick from that far side, although it should favour him. It's like round the corner kicker, right-footed. And time has ticked out, but Bramley have given a good account of themselves in this second half. At half-time, 22 points to 0 down. They've managed to, so far, put 16 points on the board. And Malcolm Agar with a chance to make the deficit only 20 points at the end of the evening. Difficult kick. Difficult angle into the floodlights. Up it goes, but it's fading away to the right. And so into injury time, and in fact the hooter goes. A final score in this John Smith's Yorkshire Cup tie. First round, Bramley 16, Leeds 22. Well, let's have a look at the way that these tries went. First of all, David Stevenson kicked a penalty for Leeds to put them 2-0 up. 16 minutes, and then it was David Stevenson this time putting a try on the board, failed with his conversion. Lee Crooks after 19 minutes put Leeds 12-0 up with David Stevenson kicking the conversion. Vince Fawcett then a spectacular try in the corner, diving over, 16-0 to Leeds. Then on 30 minutes, Gary Price, the man of the match, the John Smith's man of the match, scoring a try after 30 minutes. David Stevenson converting 22 points to 0. Well, then Bramley came back just 5 minutes into the second half. Score by Ronnie Sharp, and an excellent score it was. 22 points to 4 to Leeds. Malcolm Agar kicked a penalty after 49 minutes, 22 points to 6. But then Lee Crooks, Vince Fawcett and Paul Medley scored tries between the 59th and the 73rd minutes. David Stevenson converting the first two, 38 points to 6, before we had a small flurry at the end from Bramley. Adrian Crawford deserving his try in the 76th minute, Malcolm Agar tagging on the goal, and Steve Carroll adding an interception try just 1 minute into the injury time played at the end of the second half. Final score, this Yorkshire Cup tie, first round, Bramley 16, Leeds 38.